मृदंग यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरि गोविंदारी श्री राधे जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा श्री राधा गिरि गोविंदारी की श्री प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय गौर प्रेमानंद। Thank you everyone for coming. The clarification of Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Sunday, 15th of June in Brisbane. So we are continuing with Canto 1, the creation, chapter 18, Mahārāja Parīkṣit cursed by a Brāhmaṇa boy. Even the title of this chapter is interesting. Mahārāja Parīkṣit cursed by a Brāhmaṇa boy. So you have your devices with you? Yes. 1:18:22. 1:18:22. You got it?
Yatra.
Radhika?
Yeah.
Yatra anuraktaha sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anuraktaha sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anuraktaha sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anuraktaha sahaseva dhīrā.
Vyapohaya dehadishu sangamodham. Vyapohaya dehadishu sangamodham. Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Vyapohaya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vyapohaya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Yatra anukarta sahaseva dhīrah.
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Janti Mata is 1:18:22. Yeah. Anyone else?
I'll try, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yatranukarta sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyam antayam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmah.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Good, right?
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Yatra anurakta sahaseva dhīrā.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vyapohya dehādishu sangamodham.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Vrajanti tatparamhamsyantyam.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma.
Yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Word to word translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yatra, unto whom? Anuraktaha, firmly attached. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Eva, suddenly. Dhīra, self-controlled. Vyapohya, leaving aside. Deha, the gross body and subtle mind. Adishu, relating to. Sangam, attachment. Udham, taken to. Vrajanti, go away. Tat, That. Paramhamsa.
Paramahamsa,
The highest stage of perfection.
the highest stage of perfection.
Antyam.
Antya,
And beyond that.
and beyond that.
Yasmin.
Yasmin.
In which.
In which
Ahimsa.
ahimsa,
Non-violence.
non-violence,
Upashamaha.
upashamaha,
And renunciation.
and renunciation,
Swadharmaha.
swadharma,
Consequential occupation.
consequential occupation.
Self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. So please hear the purport very carefully, because we are going to have some exercise on this purport. Yeah. So I'll give you a hint. Right. This purport I thought it would be aptly called a definition purport. So now pay attention. Only the self-controlled can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Dry philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation from the conditional life of material existence. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. So those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called Paramhamsa stage. Hamsas or swans accept only milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya service are called the Paramhamsas. They are naturally qualified with all the good attributes such as pridelessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramhamsas who are completely given up to the service of the Lord are very rare. They are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being, but a perfect Paramhamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation to the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, but when one forgets his relation with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramhamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhudale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, what did we call this purport as?
Definition.
Definition purport. So how many definitions can we find here? First of all, Prabhupada says self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. That's the first definition. What's a definition? Of course, Prabhupada will give different definitions in different places according to the context. But here, self-control means not indulging in. Thank you, Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Self-control means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. Yes? The second definition comes here is? I just took the means one. There are many definitions, of course. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the condition of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the condition of matter. Yes? So that's why I thought it's a nice definition purport. Prabhupada is giving so many definitions here. Yeah. So in the beginning, this of course, so the Goswami is speaking about the Lord and the devotees of the Lord, and he's now describing who these self-controlled persons are. And of course, we can see here they can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment. Now, I always say this: we should not think that we cannot do that. We should not think that we cannot do that. We also can do that very easily. It just depends on how much. The more the dependence we have on the Lord, the less we have dependence on the material and nature, the family, and so on and so forth. So here it is said that they can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind. They can easily give up the body also, right? We can see in the case of course, that was not directly because of Mother Parvati. She gave up, she just, because her husband was insulted, she just gave up her material body. Narad Muni was placed in a difficult situation when his mother passed away when he was age 5. He did not complain. Why did this happen to me? I'm alone, I've got no one to protect me and all that. No. He just started walking and gave his life to the Lord. So this way we can see that, there are examples where it's easy. Maybe we cannot give up the gross body because, we have been given the gross body for service and the subtle mind also for service. So we use that in Krishna service. So that is also kind of one way of suddenly giving up. When someone gets attracted in the olden days, when Prabhupada established ISKCON, devotees will just come, they'll come, get the association of devotees for a week, and then join. After a couple of months, they become temple president, and then, just start their service like that, because they're very, very sincere. So sincerity, actually helps us in going ahead. And then, as Prabhupada says here, real dependence means just dependence on the Lord and not on the matter. So, let's unpack this purport verse by verse. I want you to write with a Sharpie on the paper and show it to everyone, yeah?
Okay.
We'll do some exercise. Okay, so only the self-control can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. Yeah? And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. So, if you want to make a flow chart or a tree, right? So, say for example, Mr. A is there, right? So, write Mr. A. Okay? And then right in the middle. No, like top middle. Yeah, Mr. A. So what choices does he have? Self-controlled and not self-controlled. So yes, small, not too big, because we're going to continue. Right? Self-controlled and not self-controlled. So what is the definition given here for self-control?
not indulging in sense enjoyment.
Yeah. So you can write in bracket under that. Not engaged in sense enjoyment more than necessary. There is some standard that we have to keep our body and soul together. We need a house, depending on our situation. We need some paraphernalia, but not more than necessary. That we have to use our intelligence in finding out what is necessary. Yeah. Shishopanishad gives one verse to us where it says that we should know what our quota is, and we should just take whatever is in our quota. And we should know what the other out of quota, who does it belong to? Obviously, it belongs to the Lord. Okay, so here we are. Now, the fourth line, it says, dry philosophical speculation is subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. So if you are enjoying the senses, you can draw a line and you can write there, the gyanis, the dry philosophical speculators, under the people who are not self-regulated. Dry philosophical speculators. Yes? Many times you meet people who are very knowledgeable, right? But they don't want to surrender to the Lord and don't want to offer devotional service. I actually know one devotee like that. He's taken issues and all that, but the moment any service is given to that devotee, and then he just come up with some excuse. So not much service is given.
Can you give more example on dry philosophical speculations
People who are just speculating, even on Bhagavad Gita. Right? Prabhupada gave an example of one of our, I think, ex-presidents or prime ministers of India. He wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry?
Radhakrishna, I think. Dr. Radhakrishna.
Was it him?
I think.
Or Rajgopalacharya, one of them?
He's the devotee.
Okay, Rajgopalacharya.
Radhakrishna, the president of India.
Okay. So one of them, he wrote commentary, but just speculation. I've also read a couple of commentaries, just a couple of pages. So in the beginning they say that there was nothing like the Mahārāja. 5 Pandavas are of 5 senses, and Krishna is our mind. So that's just speculation.
And even Ravi Shankar, in one of the lectures, he was saying that Radha is not a character; it's just an imaginary character.
Yeah. So that's dry philosophy. We are following the scriptures strictly, so we don't speculate. And that's why Prabhupada said, I have given you everything, don't manufacture anything else, don't add, don't subtract anything else. And many times when we are in association of Prabhupada disciples, they notice something very small, deviating also, they immediately point out to us that this is not correct, like that. Yeah? Okay, Mataji?
Yeah.
Okay, so sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. So then, if your sense enjoyment, what is the path is of darkness. And then what about if you're self-regulated?
If you're self-regulated, can make progress in the path of liberation.
Yes. So you can connect them. One is on the path of darkness, one is the path of liberation.
Yeah. In the condition life.
Are you going okay? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you have choices. If you do good, it's the pathway of goodness and pathway of darkness.
Yes.
It's the choices.
Yes. Srīmad again says that one must know the path of light and path of darkness, so that we are aware what is what. The Vedas therefore enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. There's a verse in one of the Vedas. We used to study in school together. I don't know whether you studied. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityuma amrutam gamaya. That means from the position of temporalness, we should go to the position of eternality. That means we should not be, we should be aware that from the bodily concept, I want to go to a spiritual concept. Yeah? Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Tamas means darkness. And from there we want to go to light of Krishna consciousness. Mrityorma amritam gamya. So anyway, once we study Bhagavad Gita, we understand that I am eternal. I'm not going to die, the soul is not going to die. So mrityorma amritam gamaya. So then, the sense enjoyer is going towards the path of darkness, and the sense regulator is on the path of liberation. Yes? Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord, by engaging one's unaware senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. Now for the sense regulated, you can again have two decisions. Yeah, one is controlling the senses, the other one is regulating the senses. Correct?
Yes. What's the difference?
What's the difference? Prabhupada says it.
Controlling is like...
Controlling is just not acting on it, right? Artificially. And then regulating means you have the desire to do something. I want to eat pizza. Then I'll control myself. No. I cannot eat pizza. But then if I want to regulate it, I'll make pizza, offer it to the Lord, and then honor it. Yeah, that's regulation. His Holiness Jayadratha Mahārāja was here in February. He was preaching in universities, and then one day he came back to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, it's very difficult to preach in the universities. Prabhupada said, why? He says, if you tell them to control their senses, they're just American students. It's impossible for them. Prabhupada said, who told you to tell them to control the senses? The senses have to be regulated, not controlled. Yeah, so this is, we can see, how do we regulate the senses? Yes, yesterday what did you do? Saturday night fever. Yes, that was a party time, yeah. We had, nice abhishek. Visually it was beautiful. That kirtan was amazing. The aarti, the class, everything for all the senses, everything was satisfying. Prasadam was very nice outside. The association. So in all possible ways, the senses were regulated. We did not control them. We just let them go. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, what does he say? That a wise person, a yogi, he controls his senses like a tortoise. Yeah, like a tortoise. What does a tortoise do? When he sees danger, all the soft limbs go inside the hard shell. So same thing we do as devotees. When we see a proper environment, then our senses are loose. But when we see there's danger of Maya, then our senses are retracted. Yes? So even for the sense controlled, there are two possibilities: sense control and sense regulation. Yeah. So self-control, okay. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. Now then, someone who's self-controlled, someone who's regulating, how do you regulate that? One line at the bottom, and then you can write, engaged in devotional service. This perfectional stage of sense engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. So we are in the process of Bhakti Yoga. And Prabhupada used to call Bhakti as loving devotional service. So there's activity going on here. Yeah, there's activity going on here. So you can see every moment we have a choice. Every moment we have a choice. What to do? How can I engage myself? So when we hear constantly like this, when we are reading, when we are chanting, what that affects is our time when we are not doing these things. Yes? So if our reading, chanting, hearing is not affecting our time when we are not doing these activities, for example, when we are working, when we are traveling, of course, Mataji, when she's traveling, she's chanting. I realized many very early times when I used to chant while, not like driving, but while traveling, a lot of the passing stuff used to distract me. Then I decided, okay, when I'm chanting while traveling, just close your eyes. So I close my eyes and then chant. It becomes a lot easier, a lot more focused than like that. So this perfectional stage of sense engagement is called Bhakti Yoga. So there is the first perfectional stage which has come here, right? So you got existence, you got senses, you got choices, you are regulating the senses, and when you are regulating the senses, that's the perfectional stage of sense engagement, and that is the Bhakti Yoga. right? Now in Bhakti Yoga, one who's progressing, then we can see it's described Paramhamsyam, someone who's a Paramhamsa, right? So those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. Yes? A better way also to do it is to engage everyone in the service of the Lord. Venkeshwar, like whole family is engaged nicely. Gunesh plays nice mridanga. Keshan is, organizing the something in digital areas. Mataji is always cooking. Prabhu is always. So like whole family, and this way you can see that in our hearts and minds, we don't have the possessiveness. What happens when we have possessiveness in family life?
Try to lord it over.
Yes, then what happens?
Possessiveness means you have desire about something from the other person.
What happens?
It's not met, it's anger.
Yeah, anger, fight. Why didn't you do this way? I want it done this way. People are just possessive, and then the fights start over that.
Blaming each other.
Yes, blaming each other. But if we have, understanding that everyone in this house is a Vaishnava and Vaishnavi, it becomes very easy. Because, charity begins at home. We start serving them nicely.
Yeah.
Bhurijan Prabhu says one of the tips, he gives 3 tips for a successful married life. And one of them he says that each partner should see the relationship in a way as to what am I going to bring in this relationship and how am I going to support the other person in the spiritual life. So when you understand that, not that what I want from this relationship, but what am I going to bring in this relationship and how I can support the other person in their spiritual life. That makes spiritual life very easy. Okay, so once they've suddenly given up the homely and bodily attachment for the service of the Lord, this is called the Paramhamsa stage, right? So you have the Bhakti Yoga, then one line down, you give up the bodily attachments, and and that is the Paramhamsa stage. What is a Hamsa?
A swan.
A swan, right? And what does a swan do?
Accept only.
It can differentiate between water.
Yeah. Do you agree with this? Do you believe in this? Not very much. But because Bhāgavatam says we must believe it, right? But I will also tell you, my spiritual master, when he read this, something like this Paramhamsa in the beginning days, he thought this can't be true. No bird can separate milk and water. And then he actually saw this happening in America somewhere. He saw the swans were there, and there was a very still lake, and then he said, let me try, so what happens, he took some water, poured some milk in that, and swans within a few minutes, they just separated both, and they just drank milk. Water was just there as it is. So he actually saw this, and sometimes he speaks in the class also. So yes, Paramhamsa is differentiating between the milk and the water. So for us, what is milk here and what is water here?
Maya.
Yes, so what is Maya? Water or milk? Water. And what is milk?
Milk is devotion.
Devotion service. So milk is devotion service for us, and water is
Maya.
Maya.
yes. Okay. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya service are called the Paramhamsas. Yeah. So you can say into Paramhamsa, into the, you can connect the sense enjoyer and the Paramhamsas by saying that sense enjoyers, they will accept the service of Maya, but the Paramhamsas will accept the service of the Lord. Yeah. And then what happens? They are naturally qualified with all the good attributes such as pridelessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord, spontaneously. There's a nice verse in the 5th canto of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate sura harav bhaktasya kuto mahad guna manorathena sati dhavato bhahi. He says, all the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. So one who's got ananya bhakti, unalloyed devotional service, right? All the godly qualities come. Now you might say, but I have met people who are very wonderful people, but they're not devotees of the Lord. Yes, we met one time. I was in the courthouse for something, and I spent one whole day with a couple of devotees and a mediator. And every half an hour thinking, man, this mediator must have been a devotee. He should be devotee. Somehow, how can I make him a devotee? Because he has such good qualities. This man who speaks so nicely, he had some, the way he speaks, you could see that he's got a very nice upbringing, very nice background. But then this verse says, Harav abhaktasya kat kuto mahadguna. It says, if you are abhakta, if you are not a devotee, the mahadguna, the qualities will not come. Right? So here we have to make a choice that yes, we can make people, a lot of people, who are very good in character. Yes, they might be in mode of goodness, and passion, whatever it is, but they don't have the godly qualities. Why? Manorathena sati dhavato bhahi. Because they are driven. Nasato means driven by the Lord's material energy. And they are, because they are under the Lord's external energy, material energy, they are just going with their mental speculation. Manorathena, manorath. So it's just always mental speculation. There's no goal for them. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? Then this verse asks a question. How can there be any such good qualities in a man like that? So the important point of us is that when we are progressing on the path of bhakti, automatically the good qualities come. Now when we say automatically, we saw in the last class that automatically, Prabhupada says, when he says automatically a few times, then we have to understand that yes, when we follow the procedure, the practices given to us, right, including introspection, including, association with devotees and all that, then it becomes automatic. Yeah? Like for example, you have got guests coming and you've decided a menu and making chapatis, right? Now, at the end of the day, chapatis are made. Right? And for someone who's an expert in making chapatis, right, it's automatic. Okay, you wake up in the middle of the night and you make nice chapatis. But is that automatic? No, you have to take flour, you have to take water, you have to, make the dough, you have to, put on the stove like that. So that process, because you are so used to it, that's why it's called automatic. So when we engage our senses in hearing, chanting, doing devotional service, cooking, serving, cleaning up, whatever it is, right, automatically it's happening. But we have to follow that practice. Does it make sense? Okay. Let's continue. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramhamsas who are completely given up to the service of the Lord are very rare. Yes? One of the 6 aspects of devotional service, 6 features of devotional service which Rupa Goswami gives in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is it's very rare. What's it called in Sanskrit? It's not coming to me. Anyway, it will come. One of the qualities is very rare. So here it is said that the Paramhamsas are very rare. And then Prabhupada says they are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Right? So you can add one more to your flow chart, right? That even when someone is being liberated, they might not be Paramhamsa. they might not be devotees of the Lord. They might be liberated, but they might be in the Brahma Jyoti stage or some other stage, but they might not be a Paramhamsa who is actually engaged in the devotional service of the Lord and can separate between material nature and devotional service. Yes?
That means they are not in Gurukha Vrindavana. Is it another way of saying that?
So even here, their destination is not the spiritual world.
Yeah.
They might be in the Brahma Jyoti, they might be, in some other better life, like Devata or something, like that. So, even among liberated souls, Paramahamsas are very rare. Yeah, Krishna says in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that Yatati api siddhanam, that even among the siddhas, people who are trying to become perfect, very few become perfect. And among them, very few know me in truth. Krishna says that. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. Yeah? In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being. But a perfect Paramahamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. So this is the definition of a Paramhamsa. He is not envious. In our case, we have envy to some or the other degree. If I am doing some service and if I see someone else doing service better than me, there's little, even though I'm trying to be devotee, but there's little that, maybe a little fault we can find somewhere. But a Paramahamsa is always thinking of, he loves everyone, and because he sees them in relationship with Supreme Lord. Yes, Prabhu?
Maybe one question that, I always think, right, as we should love all human beings. But and then you see somebody really, really bad, how do you love them? It's like, sometimes it's not possible.
So you just pray for them. You just pray for them. Because it's their conditioning, they are there like that. You just pray for them. Please, Krishna, please help them. I just read recently, Prabhupada initiated a devotee, a Sikh person. He was, I think his name was Chaitya Shakti Das, something like that. I forget his name. He was a Sikh devotee. And he used to help the senior devotees in going around India and making life members and collecting donations and all that. Subscribing to the magazines and whatever way they used to collect Lakshmi. And after some time he thought, I'm someone who can do on my own, and he just left on his own and started doing on his own, collecting Lakshmi for, I don't know whether it was not specified whether for the temple or for himself. So the devotees came to Prabhupada and he says, Prabhupada, you have to tell him and just reject him, he cannot do that. And Prabhupada didn't do anything. And the devotees came back to him after some time and said, Prabhupada, it's still going on. Prabhupada said, the mercy of Lord Nityananda is unlimited. So even though he's doing such, of course we cannot be like that. We cannot be like Prabhupada. We cannot just imitate Prabhupada and say, okay, everything goes. No. That we have to have that understanding. That in that context, Prabhupada saw that, like that. Yesterday, Mahārāja spoke about the person who was sleeping and someone tried to wake him up and Prabhupada said, no, let him sleep. And just that, let him sleep, made him a devotee. Yeah. So this person, he came back, behaved for a while. Then after some time again he started doing the same thing. When the devotees came back to Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, this time you have to do something about it. Prabhupada still said, Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is unlimited. Who am I to stop this? So basically, for someone who's conditioned, we just pray for them. Obviously, we have an organization to run, so we cannot be naive that, okay, anything goes. But at the same time, we can pray for people. Yeah. Is that okay, bro? Then he says, real renunciation means? What does the real renunciation means here?
Renouncing one's dependence on the condition of material nature.
Yes, so perfect dependence on Lord. So only when we are perfectly dependent on the Lord, right, can we renounce our dependence on others. Yes, you can write that. Someone who is self-controlled, he is dependent on the mercy of the Lord, and then he doesn't have to depend on the mercy of someone else. And that's why when these devotees go around the world and spreading Krishna consciousness, they're just completely dependent on mercy of the Lord. Whatever comes, they'll take it. Because, someplace, the accommodation is very meager. Someplace the prasadam is, different. Every 2-3 days, if you are given different prasadam, how will you take it? No, but these persons are interested in giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. That's why they undergo all these austerities. That's why they're called Paramhamsas. Narad Muni is a Paramhamsa. Yeah? He just goes around and helps everyone. So, Narad Muni was cursed by Daksh Prajapati. When Prajapati, his job is to, populate the world. So he was coming up with all the progenies. And, Narad Muni will take all of them and make them brahmacharis. So Daksh Prajapati got angry with him. And he cursed Narad Muni. That I curse you that, you will not stay at any place more than 2-3 days or something like that, for long. So Prabhupada said that we are followers of Narad Muni, so we also have to take that curse. So we cannot stay at one place more than 3 days. That's why Prabhupada also used to travel. One person in India asked Prabhupada, I want to stay at the shelter of your lotus feet all the time. Prabhupada said, that's difficult because I keep on traveling. You cannot rest my lotus feet, you have to travel with me. So yeah, it was like that. So real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, but when one forgets his relation with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. So what is said here? We are all actually dependent on the mercy of the Lord. But because we have forgotten, that's why we want to take shelter of other things, conditions of the material nature. Yes? You can write that. Two scenarios for us. We can either take completely dependent on the Lord. Welcome. And if we are completely dependent on the Lord, then we don't have to depend on the conditions of material nature. And Prabhupada says renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Yes? Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. So that is our real independence. Yeah? In the 11th canto, there is a story of Avadhuta Brāhmaṇa. The story of an Avadhuta Brāhmaṇa. And King Yadu asked him, how come you have got nothing, you have got no possessions, but you are still so happy? Yes? Can you imagine being like that? No possessions and still being happy? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. You can imagine, but can you be? Avadhuta, he said that because I travel everywhere and I'm not dependent on everyone, but I learn from everyone. And then he gives his list of 24 gurus, including a python. Python, he says, what does a python do? He just lies. He doesn't make an effort to go and look for his prey. If something comes, he will eat. Otherwise, he'll say, so I'm like a python. If I'm just at one place, whatever comes by providence, I will accept it. If it doesn't come, I will not take it. Then he, from blacksmith, what can be done? From different gurus, he's got 24 gurus. Very, very nice. If you want to Google that, hear a seminar by someone on 24 gurus of an Avadhuta. Very nice seminar on that. So real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramhamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Lord. So this is the highest stage where the Paramhamsa is completely dependent on the Lord and is not dependent on anyone else. Actually, a stage has to come when we all have to be like that. Devotees, when they come to the Vanaprastha stage, and then they realize, okay, it's a time for me to now start just living on my own. And people do that. Originally, vanaprastha means, you go out of the village and just stay there, not in the village. And then sannyas means you just go out completely. There's no connection with the partner. Like that, of course, the mother is being taken care of by the children. So mother is not traveling, but the sannyasi is traveling like that. That's enjoined in our movement. So then we understand, okay, it is difficult for me to not have some sense enjoyment. It's difficult for me to be completely dependent on the Lord and not dependent on the mercy of the material nature. It is difficult for me to become Paramhamsa. But actually, if you understand slowly, when we keep on hearing Srīmad Bhāgavatam, now, what do the senses want? What do the senses want?
Enjoy.
Enjoyment. Yes? Enjoyment. So now if I tell you a verse which we really enjoy, and then meditate upon that, you think, okay, this is such a nice verse. It's, if you want to write down, it's 9:24:64. So 63 and 64 are combined, but I'm going to recite the verse only 64. So if you want to take out that verse, 9:24:64. Nine, 24, 64. 16 and 64 are combined. But you want to study only 64. Snigdha smite kshitodare. You not what it is? Okay, 9:24:64. Got it? Snigdha smite kshitodare. Vakyer vikramalilaya. Trilokam ramayamasa. Murtya sarvanga ramyaya. So here Nanda Baba is speaking about Krishna. By his pleasing smiles. So imagine Krishna's pleasing smile, yeah? We've got Radha Girigordhan, we've got Gauranitai, we've got Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, big smiles. Yes? By his pleasing smiles, snigdha, smitekshito dare. By his affectionate behavior. Snigdha means affection. By his affectionate behavior. So his pleasing smile, by his affectionate behavior. Then, vakyar vikramalilaya. His instructions. Vakyar means instructions, what he gives in Bhagavad Gita, Srīmad Bhāgavatam he also gives. Vikramalilaya. Vikramalilaya means his uncommon pastimes. His uncommon pastimes, like raising Govardhan hill. The Lord appearing in his transcendental body pleased all of human society. Murdaya sarvanga ramyaya. He came with this beautiful form. So what are the four things spoken here? First is pleasing. This is my favorite verse, one of my favorite verses actually. So when you think of Krishna's pleasing smile, right? When we think of the Lord's pleasing smile, will our senses be enjoying? Yes. Then affectionate behavior. Yeah. So also then when we speak of, when we think of about Krishna's affectionate behavior towards Nanda Baba, Yashoda, towards Devaki Vasudeva. Krishna and Balaram, when they went to Mathura after their pastime in Vrindavan, they actually apologized to Devaki and Vasudeva. He says, we have not done our duty properly of taking care of both of you. So from now on, we're going to stay here and take care of both of you. In fact, Vasudeva and Devaki had put Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan, right, to safeguard them. But they are saying, no, we didn't do our duty of taking care of both of you properly. Such affectionate behavior. He shows affectionate behavior to all the devotees, right? To the Gopas, to the Gopis, to Uddhava, to everyone. So his affectionate behavior. Then his instructions. Where do we get his instructions? Easily? Bhagavad Gita as it is, yes. And his uncommon pastimes like raising Govardhan hill. So they are his uncommon pastimes. So Prabhupada said, you don't want any thriller novel. You don't want to watch a thriller movie. Everything is there in our scriptures. Yeah? You can imagine what Krishna does, what Balaram does. Dancing on 1,000 hoods of Kaliya, or jumping from a mountain which has got fire, or like just ordinary swimming pastimes. So many things Krishna does which are uncommon. So these all things, by his first one is pleasing smile. Second is affectionate behavior. Third one is instructions. And fourth is so with these four things, if we meditate upon that, our senses get enjoyment automatically. And then what does Krishna do? Appearing in his transcendental body, pleased all of human society. Such a nice verse where our senses can be enjoyed by meditating on Krishna. We'll end with something which is very beautiful. We can take lessons from the gopis. What are they speaking? The 10th canto in the Gopi Geet, 21st chapter, there's a beautiful verse number 11, so 10, 21, 11. If you can get that. 10, 21, 11. If you got it, let me know. Yes. Dhanyasma mudha gatayopi haranyaveta Yananda nandanam upata vichitra vesham Akarnya venu ranitam sa Krishna sara Pujam dadhur virachitam Pranayavaloke. Can somebody read the translation, please? Loudly.
Blessed are all these foolish deer, because they have approached Mahārāja Nanda's son, who is gorgeously dressed and is playing on his flute. Indeed, both the dove and the bucks worship the Lord with looks of love and affection.
Yes. So gopis are speaking about who? The deer. Yeah. And what do the deer do? When they are stunned, what do the deer do? They just stare at, when they come in front of the lights, for example, when you're driving, when the deer comes in front of the light, the deer will be just like this. So here the male deer and the lady deer, the doe and the bucks, right? What are they doing?
Worship the Lord with looks of
How?
love and affection.
With looks of love and affection. So when we come here and look at the beautiful form of Radha Girigurandhari, of Gauranita, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, what should we do? We should have the looks of love and affection. Now, the gopis are saying, they are saying about the deer. He says, the female deer can easily approach Krishna and stare at Krishna. Yes? But can the gopis do?
No.
Why?
They have because of the society.
The social etiquette, yes. But they have got husbands there. Yeah? Now here, it is described that the male deer are encouraging the female deer to go and affectionately look at Krishna. And are the gopas doing for the gopis? The gopis' husband, are they doing for the gopis? No. Right? But that also is not very, it's just like partial truth. Right? So, when the gopi is saying that dear, you are very lucky, more luckier than us, right? So gopi is saying that your husband, the male deer, is actually encouraging you to go and look at Krishna. But in our case, it is not the same. we cannot look at Krishna the way you can look at Krishna with love and affection. And then the gopis say, therefore, what is the use of our lives? Prabhupada says that in the purport. He says, the gopis say, what is the use of our lives? Because we are bound by social etiquette. Yeah? Now, interestingly, it's how do the deer worship Krishna? By looks, and then by also licking him, and by glancing with love and affection. Yeah? What other things they do, the deer? So the deer, what do they, when they know when Krishna is coming towards the path, especially the musk deer, what do? With their tails and the hoofs, they clear the path for Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys. They clear the path, they make it very nice and soft, with the dust. And what they do also, in the air, they release the musk for the fragrance which Krishna and Balaram can then enjoy. So, one of our Acharya Sanatana Goswami, he uses the word pranaya loke. Pranayava loke. Pranaya means, do you know what the meaning of pranaya? Who knows? Rahul should know.
It's
Affection.
affection.
Pranaya means love and affection, yes? So pranayava loke means to have a look at Krishna with love and affection. So this is what the deer are doing. And Sanatana Goswami says that for us, we should be also doing that. Why? Because Krishna is satisfied only with love and devotion. Yeah? Nothing else satisfies Krishna. Krishna says in 926, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayashati tadaham bhakti upatra yashnani pretatmana. So he uses the word bhakti twice in that verse. Yes. When the devotee offers Krishna with love and devotion, little water, little flower, little fruit, little leaf, Krishna accepts that. We know the story in Mahārāja when Krishna went as a messenger, on the behalf of the Pandavas, and then because he was a messenger, Duryodhana asked him to stay with him in the palace provided by Duryodhana. And he says, in the evening, I'll have a royal banquet organized for you, so please come and have dinner with us. And what did Krishna do?
Go to Vidurji.
He went to Vidurji's house. Why?
Because there he was getting that love and affection.
Yeah, so then Duryodhana next morning he asked, Krishna, where were you last night? The whole banquet was ready, everyone was waiting. All the waiters and we were all family members, everyone was waiting. Where were you? So Krishna says that for someone to eat at someone's house, you require two things. One is that one must be hungry, and second thing is that the other person must have love for the guest. He says, because I'm transcendental, because I don't have a material body, I'm never hungry. Because you didn't have love for me, so both these conditions were not met. Whereas in Vidur's place, there was immense love. And we know the story where even when he went to Vidur's place, Vidurani gave him the peels and not the actual banana. So yes. So Krishna says, yes, I am only after love. So when we come and when we go to any devotee's house also, we should see with love and affection their deities. When we come to the temple, we also in our own homes have an altar where we see our deities with love and affection like that. And then the deities will speak to us actually. The deity will speak to us, okay, do this in our hearts, Paramatma. He will tell us, okay, do this, not that. So, it is described that why we are never happy in the material world, because we have this hole in our heart. And whatever we try to do, that hole is just letting everything pass by. But Krishna is the only person who can fill our heart with love and affection. Satyanandan Mahārāja narrates a nice story. I'll end here with that. He says, in Vrindavan a few years ago, there was a big scandal, right? There's a brahmachari, and so there was this girl, so this brahmachari came to this Satyanandan Mahārāja and said, this such and such girl is, after me, and she has written me a love letter. And of course, Sachidananda Maharaj says, we will call this devotee as Krishnadas, just some generic name. So Krishnadas. So this girl had written a love letter to that, because the boy wanted to remain a brahmachari. And then Sachidananda Maharaj said, okay, show me the letter. And Sachidananda, the brahmachari, showed him the letter. And Maharaj started reading the letter. And it was a real love letter. But that love letter that girl had written for actual Krishna, not for this devotee. So Maharaj told him, everything can be for Krishna, it is not for you, my friend. So the brahmachari was happy. He said, okay, I'm safe now. I can remain a brahmachari nicely, like that. Then Maharaj went to the girl and she said, I can see that you have written a nice letter to Lord Krishna. It's everything, because everything is with love and affection. And the girl also said, okay, maybe I would have made a mistake in somewhere, but I will not then make that mistake again. So here we can see that, when we have this love and affection for Krishna, easily it becomes very easy to regulate our senses. So all we need is just to constantly hear, constantly be in association of devotees, constantly chant, constantly hear these pastimes, so that the senses don't have to be controlled; they are easily regulated. And then for us to give up, in our subconscious mind, all the attachment to material nature doesn't become that difficult, because anyway everyone in the house is a devotee. Everything we're using in our house for devotion service. So there's no question of any subjugation to the material nature. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Any questions or comments?
Prabhu, I had a question on, you were saying there are good persons, but without devotional service, they just remain good persons. What about a person who is very much acquainted with Christianity or being a very pious Muslim? Are they considered as devotionally good persons?
So Prabhupada said, if you are a Muslim, be a good Muslim. If you are a Christian, be a good Christian. Now, what does that mean? That means you have to follow your scriptures. And Prabhupada used to actually, when in discussions with the clergies and bishops and all that, he used to tell them very firmly that if you are trying to be a good Christian, then you must follow Bible. And then he used to give an example. Bible says, thou shalt not kill. You cannot then interpret thou shalt not kill any human being. Thou shalt not kill means you will not kill an animal also. That means you are not going to eat meat. Right? So then, thou shalt not kill, you cannot say. So, if you want to be a good Christian, yes, be a good Christian. And I heard also, one of the classes many years ago, I'm paraphrasing it. So, Giriraj Maharaj said that yes, every bona fide religion, if it's, you are a Sikhist, follower of Sikhism, Judaism, whatever it is, they have some purpose, right? And everyone, because of some, how we get also glimpse of that advanced stage of our devotional service, they also get some glimpse, and that's why they continue doing these services. Otherwise, no one will do this service. But the end goal is different. Even people who believe in God, even people who believe in Krishna, the end goals can be different. Like you imagine, among the transcendentalists, we are just not talking of, Judaism, the Jews and Christians. He's talking of the, between Vaishnavas and Sankarites. Right? So Vaishnavas follow Vishnu, Sankarites follow Sankar. And they're both, seekers. Right? Within the Vaishnavas, then there are different sects. Within that, there are different sects, and we fall under a small one, Brahma Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya. Right? So yes, they will get some destination, but the destination has to be very clear. Yeah?
Does that mean like the destination will be set by the devotee or set by that parampara?
Both. The parampara, like for us we have, Prabhupada says that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, you can get the highest love of Krishna in Vrindavan. Which is the highest. One can love Krishna, or one can love Vishnu, one can love Narayan, one can love Ram. So you go to Ayodhya, you go to Vaikuntha, like that. But to go to Golok Vrindavan, and understand the Braj Bhakti is very rare. And that's why Prabhupada said, yes, you follow the process. Then we start following the process, then up to us. How strictly are we going to follow the process? For how long? Because Maya is going to attack you more and more and more. The more you advance, the Maya's attacks become more and more subtle. So the easiest thing for us is just to follow the procedure. Just to follow the process. No matter what happens. Yeah? That's guaranteed. And you know the story where Prabhupada said, when devotee said, to reach Krishna, we have to become pure, and we are not pure. Even at the end of our life, we might not be pure. Prabhupada said, if you follow 4 regulatory principles, if you chant 16 rounds, read my books, then I have got the key for the back door. Yeah? So, it's like that. So for me, I just try to understand, we are here to serve, and service is very important. Because when we accept service, it's okay, but when we serve, it's much nicer. The feeling is much nicer. So hey, I want to enjoy my senses by serving. So why not, serve the devotees, serve Krishna, and then also, does it make sense? Yeah. Because, later on we'll study, as then when we progress in devotional life, our own destination will change. Like if you see Kadam Maharaj, his last instruction, he says, death means just change of service. Next life, okay Prabhupada, I'm here. What's your next instruction? When Vallabhi left, my daughter left, the last message on her phone she was going from Vrindavan to Govardhan, and the last message she wrote to my spiritual master, her spiritual master too, is that, Gurudev, waiting for your next instruction. So okay, here you go. Next instruction is there. Like that. So just service is the best thing we can do. Anyone else? Anything?
One thing, just a realization, Prabhuji. I heard a class, and he said, Lord Krishna said, I am the taste of the water, right? It's just a small thing, but it's just a so beautiful thing. When you're having water and just think about it, Normally we don't think anything.
Yeah.
But just by hearing that, it just makes it so.
The 7th, 9th and 10th chapter, Krishna gives a lot of, ways how to meditate upon him. If you remember, Urmila Mataji gave a seminar on Krishna meditations, and she quoted from Bhagavad Gita, where you can see me, among the letters I am letter A, among the Omkara, among all the different sacrifices, the Japa Yagya, the chanting of the holy name, among the bodies of water and the ocean. So one of our devotees who also has left his body, Raktar Prabhu, very nicely, whenever he'll go near the ocean or a river, he says, among the bodies of water and the ocean. So we remember Krishna like that. So Krishna meditation, I don't know whether anyone of you got the slides. You can also, because she was here a couple of years ago and she did the seminars on that. How to meditate on Krishna and just on a daily basis, on a minutely basis, on a secondly basis. Okay, anything else? Yes, Mother.
Prabhu, is it preaching by non-devotees, is it a devotional service as well?
Preaching by non-devotees is a devotional service?
Yeah. Like
preaching about Krishna, you mean?
Yes, preaching about
Krishna by non-devotees?
Yes, because in my work, because I'm going the ferry, so I chanting from home to the ferry, and then I associate with my Filipino non-devotees, because I was chanting in the ferries and close my eyes, and they're all curious about what you're doing. I'm chanting. What's that mean? I'm like, this is in the Catholic, this is rosary. So we do rosary when we're young. Okay, so what you got from that? It's like where you can take out all your sins from it, and you can go to God's heaven. So I start preaching a little bit, and then when we are at work, I'm like, I say, Hare Krishna, please pray for my work. I'm like, so by hearing for them, we're like, oh, you have Hare Krishna. What's that mean? It means this is the God's that going way to Godhead. This is how you do Maha Mantra. Like, all right. So when we do have breakfast, bread. They all have meat. I'm like, oh please Krishna, forgive them, because now I understand that by eating meat it's very it's not good for us. But when they ask why you become vegetarian after that 2 years, I'm like, because I understand now that we can live without eating harmful animals that can cause us karma. Like, oh my God, what you're talking about? Because we are a country, Philippine country, we don't have that knowledge about eating the animals, because we grow animals in our own backyard. We use the piggery to be a business and also eat for our own food, and because we don't have that knowledge, I feel like very bad. But that time I use it to say about how good to be. It's okay to eat that food, but you need to offer it to as a prasadam, and that way it become God's mercy for us. Like they're very shocked because I have that knowledge now. I'm like, so day by day I share to them that this is how our Mahamantra, it gives you meditation. Where when I'm surveying the area, because we're checking all the residents, I'm singing the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, and someone heard that, oh, that's our Hare Krishna. Like, oh, you're Hare Krishna? Yes, because there's some Indian as well. It's like, oh, they're very shocked that not many Filipino are going onto that let's say not a temple, but they think it's church. But yeah, I explained to them that now I understand, and I can bit by bit telling them and to my family.
So when you associate with people for a long time, when you are convinced in yourself and then you speak, right? It'll have an effect on people. Yeah. Definitely, right?
And it's like I giving them a role modeling that whatever they push me to come eat, try this. This is our traditional food, like adobo, and this I know, and I feel like I don't want to say I'm purified, but I feel like I'm purified already, because I don't have any smell of the Filipino food with meat. So oh my God, I was craving, but I don't have craving anymore. Like, oh, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so this.
I feel like purified now because I don't have any craving at home. After 2 years, I never cooked any more meat, and it was just even I feel like, it just give me sense of gratification that Krishna gave me, that no more feeling craving of food.
So this way we can just keep on doing it, and out of the many people who you are touching their hearts, some will also pick up this, and this way, and maybe not everyone will become a devotee, but 1 or 2 people might think, okay, something good. So if you have to then use your intelligence to find out who is receptive.
Yeah, I have one that we are, because she's born again, and Hare Krishna, so we're giving in her understanding of the Bible, and this is our understanding of the Bhagavad Gita.
The born again are very fanatical also.
Yeah, so I explained to her, so remember we have that thou shalt not kill, but because the priest doesn't want to accept that they eat meat, that's kill. It should be they should not kill all living things. That way we become all vegetarian all over the world. But because the Vatican doesn't accept that, they still eat meat. So they don't put that they should not kill all living things. They should put that a wish.
So like that we have to be convinced. Once we are convinced, then it's easy to convince others. Yeah, for anything. You meet people on a regular basis, and then they have so many different types of questions. But ultimately the question is, I don't want to surrender. How can I surrender? That's it. Sometimes I don't even ask that, but slowly it's our job. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that do not teach this sacred knowledge to non-devotees. But the devotees are more merciful than Krishna. So they take the risk and preach to the wide public.
So they asked me because I also tell you about the spirit soul. I said, when I understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, I ask, oh, who am I? Like, what do you mean? You're Rowena. Like, it means now I understand that this is the body, we have a spirit, soul. And then I told them, remember in our Catholic, we remember we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We believe there is a Holy Spirit, but we don't have a knowledge that where we're gonna go our spirit when we die. So yeah, where we are. So we believe we have hell and we have heaven, but we have more beyond that. We have more Krishna Loka, and it's like, you're weird. No, I was like, I understand, but I said to them,
You know, it's the best way to explain, a very simple way to explain someone that you are not the body of the soul. You know, I've been giving the example for 20 years. I tell them, you take a picture of a person when that person is 1 week old, like a little baby, very small baby. You take the picture of the same person when they're 25 years old, yeah, and you take a picture of the same person when they are 70 years old. Would the pictures be same or different? Really? Yes. But they're the same person. So what is constant? The body has changed completely, but the soul is the one which is inside. So you can say by that example, and then you can continue in the same breath, you can tell them that even science says that all the cells in our body change every 7 years. Some of the cells, like our digestive juices, they change like within a few minutes, right? So the science says that within 7 years, all the cells in our body have changed. So every 7 years, we have died and, got another body. But we don't, realize that. So then when we explain them this, we say, yeah, actually, that's true. Because science also says this, I can experience that the body is different, but there's something inside, so the soul is the person identifying the body.
Yes, so now my friend, I explained to her about the spirit soul, that when we die, we leave our body, but where we go in. And she's like, yeah, we go into heaven or hell if you're good. No, I said, yeah, there is a heaven, but you only live in a heavenly planet. But there's more than that. So what do you mean? I said, if you're doing good and you do your service, devotional service, you can go more higher than that. And she said, if you're doing bad, then you go back to where, like, example, I said, we eat the animal. So if we cut the head, we can go reverse. Like, in the end, I explained to her that if we're dying and you're thinking about God, there's some possibility that you're going back to Godhead. But if you're thinking about your family or your animals, your dog, you might go back on that. She couldn't understand, but bit by bit, every day we're going together, I explained to her, is that how it is? Like, yeah, we go reverse. Like, we're going back, our spirit soul will be like spark or bonfire. We can go back wherever what you're thinking. So you go that, like, you miss your dog, in your dying, what gonna happen to my dog? You're gonna go on that dog. Like, really? It's like, I don't want to be a dog. Like, so yeah, you need to be in that.
And maybe now is the time for you to just give her a book, a small book.
Yeah,
a small book, just give her maybe Science of Self-Realization or, Nectar of Instruction or some small book.
Yeah, so because we have a big staff, we have nurses, we have EN, we have different kind of stuff, so I believe some books there, and I'm like, oh, they're gone, that's good.
Yeah, okay.
So someone take that book, so we have a knowledge of,
Yeah, that's all we can do, just one by one. One of our devotees, Bhāgavatam, used to say, every drop matters, every drop counts. So everything what we do. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimadbhagavatam ki jai.
His Grace Sakira Prabhu ki
Jai.
Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So this evening again, Subhag Mahārāja